organized for you in a very easy to understand manner? What if you're also able to upload your own world map using a custom image on which you can place markers to on specific locations to different aspects of your world? It would make the entire process that much easier, and that's what the Forge is aiming to do. It is a web application which hopes to help game masters, authors, doesn't even have to be for Dungeons and Dragons, to organize their world so they don't have to. Zach is also going to give you a quick demonstration of a web application.
So, welcome to the Forge. Sean is already logged into his account, and as a user, he can create a new world, as well as view the worlds that he has already created. So we're going to go into Vilnius, a world that Sean has been working on. So he has already uploaded his custom map, which he has added markers for all the elements that he has already created. So if he clicks on a marker, a pop-up with a brief description will appear, as well as the option to view more details. Now, Sean is going to create a new aspect for the world. He's going to create a new location called Lighthouse Laboratory, which is the home of 10 apprentices who study under the master wizard Dom. So now the newly created aspect will show up under the table of contents for this world. As well, elements can be found using the search bar. Now Sean is going to add the newly created location onto his world map. So he's going to add a new marker, click and drag it to the correct location, and link it to Lighthouse Laboratory. And just like that, Lighthouse Laboratory is now part of his world. Visitors to the Forge can also view all the worlds created by all users, as well as search for a specific world. However, they are not able to edit any of the information, so they can just view the custom map as well as all the elements of the world. Our app is also responsive, which makes it great to use on mobile and tablet, so game masters can bring their world to the table. Now, Konstantin is going to go through the process of making our app.
Thank you, Zach. Before starting actual coding, we created a wireframe and ERD when everything was set. We've chosen React for our front end because this is a technology we're already familiar with. But following the bootcamp theme, we decided to learn new technology like Apollo and graphQL to communicate to our database, as well as the Leaflet API for our map functionalities. Me, Zach, and David, we worked on the front end while Sean was doing back end. Me personally, I was responsible for the top navigation bar, for the side menu bar that is sliding, rendering the components on the create world page, as well as some routing and making sure the form submits right information to the database.
And like Konstantin, I worked on building the React components for the front end, including the pages to display the worlds, forms to create and edit elements, as well as the login and registration forms. I also implemented the search functionality, as well as worked on the routing between the pages.
I took care of all of the map functionalities in terms of adding a custom map through a URL, editing, adding markers, stuff like that. After which, once I was done with all that, I ended up helping the other two route all the different pages, make sure all the components are gathered together, and lay out the base UI UX.
I created the GraphQL API layer. I connected it afterwards. I connected it to a Postgres database, and I used SQLize as the ORM. For my workflow, I incrementally did the queries and mutations for the front-end development team so that they would have what they need at the appropriate time.
Challenges, yeah, we definitely faced the challenges like implementing new technologies like GraphQL and Apollo, as well as the Leaflet, React Leaflet over Leaflet.js, as well as the UI and UX, because Bootcamp doesn't focus on that. The things we would have done differently is implementing Redux for our state management in React. And we were not using the full functionality of Apollo, because right now what we're doing pretty much using API layer to connect to the client.
Going forward, we will first rebuild the web application, implementing the changes Konstantin just mentioned. As for the future of the application, we first want to we first wanted to cover the entire world creation aspect of the website while still keeping the information easily available. We want to add more functionalities, especially on the map, so adding more markers for more different aspects to it. And then we will focus on creating a campaign creator for said world of said creator, followed by the event planner, which, because the tabletop RPG, role-playing game I should say instead, it's really difficult to actually find and choose a time to all get together at the same time. Thank you for listening to us. Any questions? QR code.
Just like move closer.
He really wants me to get really.
Constantly, you can do it for me.
Yeah.
Or not.
I can pass my
There we go.
Thank you.
Just pass
Wait,
it
no,
on.
you went to a different thing.
Yeah,
You're on a different.
Oh, I am. Sorry about that. There you go. So, any questions?
Yes.
I can start the show. You guys decided to use both React and Bootstrap. Is there a particular reason like you guys would use the both?
React and Bootstrap?
Yeah.
Bootstrap we ended up using for a lot of the base styling of components.
Okay.
React we ended up using because it was just a nice way to make everything modular and reuse components. So like let's say the element like aspect info, that's just one component and it just renders according to what the information is passed to it. So instead of having to redo that constantly, we decided to use React for that. Whereas with Bootstrap, it was just more to really style components and get everything looking nice to a certain extent. Readable.
And you also use. Were you using Redux or because you said you were doing it?
We want to, yeah.
So you're not doing that.
Yeah,
But
it's just like it was. I think like 2 days before we were supposed to stop coding that we realized we should have implemented Redux.
Okay.
And trying to re-implement that and learn that, we felt like we didn't have the time to do so.
Okay.
So it's something that we'd like to do in the future, moving forward.
What do you expect to gain out of using Redux from the state management?
It's just currently we're passing. Or I'm doing all the talking.
Go ahead.
Well,
What have you guys want? We're passing down a lot of things as props right now. The thing is that with Apollo, one of the things that we didn't end up implementing was the ability to refetch queries, which would update the query state. And it was going to be more of a test between that as well as using Redux to refresh some of the pages more dynamically instead of like an actual page reload, which is what we're currently doing because that's the workaround that we have to find. Yeah. So Redux would definitely help with that if we couldn't figure out the Apollo side of things.
Yes.
I can't remember who, but I think one of you talked about users can search other users' locations and whatnot,
Yeah.
and if they're viewing others' world, they cannot edit it.
Yeah.
Did you guys implement a sort of permissions management, or like how did you identify who was viewing?
So currently, the way that the creator is identified is just through cookies. So after logging in, a cookie is set with the user ID, and if that user ID matches the creator ID of the world, then they'll have all the editing functionalities, and if not, then they won't be able to edit.
Why didn't they delete their cookie?
So that's one of the things
That's
that
one of the things we would
we
have done
are going to
differently
look
with,
into, yeah.
Apollo, just because you can pass in through the context of Apollo client, just a token, probably a JSON web token. This seems to be the thing that works best with Apollo now.
Just 10 days was not enough to.
Definitely not. Any more questions, guys?
You guys mentioned you were using a leaflet there. Like, what did you use it for and why leaflet?
So I was actually looking at a couple of different options, and Leaflet just ended up being the best solution for what we initially planned. Because right now, how it is that you upload an image where else, so I just create a custom image layer, and then put bounds on that, so it's essentially one tile. I would like to, in the future, be able to have users upload their own images, which would be stored on our database, and then it would also tile them properly. But the reason why it's just out of all the solutions that I came across, Leaflet just ended up being the right one, and it wasn't as heavy as something like Google Maps or something like that, which from my understanding also has that functionality.
Which feature are you the most proud of?
Me personally, I think these guys know GraphQL. For me personally, because just the simplicity of it for the front end, it just makes things, instead of having to create multiple routes, they only need to connect to one single endpoint, which for them, they can really focus on actually styling and creating web pages. And on the back end also, it makes things easier, in my opinion, because you don't need to remember which routes do what. So, yeah.
I'm really proud of learning React because when I joined the bootcamp, I had no idea what the React is, how it works, what it is, and it was fun to learn this technology. And I want to go further. I want to learn React Native as well, so I enjoyed it from here.
And how did you learn this technology?
Well, there was an introduction pretty much here, the Lighthouse. It's pretty much hands-on experience. Lighthouse gives you a task that you have to achieve. You just go online, search, if you have a question. Mentors are always here to answer your questions, but nobody will do this for you. You have to figure it out.
Like with the React project, what we were tasked with was to kind of rebuild a layout that they already set for us, so for the app, and implement the functionalities that way. So they didn't specifically teach us exactly how to do it, but kind of gave us the layout of what the page should look like, what it should do, the functions that it should achieve, and we had to kind of set out on our own and read the documentation and learn how to build the app.
The great thing about React, which me personally, I love it, because even you can do separate components and make whatever you want with these components, and you just put them all together in one place and just render them like crazy. That's what I love.
Well, so the feature that I'm most proud of is the map stuff, for the most part. There are other functionalities, like Sean mentioned, that I would like to add, such as different layer groups for the markers, to use different images. So if you only want to see cities,